everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh McKelvin. From money for full-day kindergarten to a fund for critical infrastructure projects to millions for a higher ed scholarship fund, Governor Sununu, he made some news this past week with his 2-year spending plan. Which elements does he think are critical and which does he think might face some opposition? Well, let's find out. He's our first guest this morning. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Josh.
So I know you've been crunching the numbers for a while now, but I got to ask you, tell me you didn't miss the Super Bowl.
Oh, please. Are you kidding? I think we're all still reliving it mentally. Great night.
Hard to believe.
Yeah. I think it made for a tough Monday morning for a lot of us. I think we were probably dragging a little bit, but it was so exciting. And, we were invited to go down and be part of the parade, but I said no only because we had a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
we've had a pretty busy schedule.
No question. You've been working on this budget for quite a while now. So, and you described it during your address as a pleasant experience. Really?
It's been great. It's been great. You learn so much when you have the ability to really get into the numbers, sit down with the agencies. We've had an amazing team put together, Charlie Arlinghouse and a bunch of other folks who very few in the state, Republican or Democrat, can say that our team weren't really the best and the brightest. And that's what it's all about, putting the best and the brightest in the room and finding out where you are, being true about where you are, honest about a true assessment. And again, it's about, I don't want to use the word gimmicks too much, but there were a few gimmicks in the budget, if you will. There were a few things in previous budgets that some of the previous administrations had used to make the budget look a little rosier than it really is. Let's just be transparent with folks. Let's be honest. Let's be straightforward with the numbers. So first and foremost, we started from a baseline we could all agree on, and then we had to make some tough decisions to make sure that our priorities and needs were taken care of.
You, as far as spending goes, the biggest increase per agency is HHS, but you also called on some significant oversight that apparently hadn't been there before, quarterly reports, things along those lines. Is that just good managing, or was there some real problems there in terms of?
Well, no, I think, as you go through in any business or even in your home budget, right, sure, you take a look every month kind of where you are, what you truly spent your money on. In this state, we don't know what we spend our money on month to month to month. We kind of get a big assessment at the end of the year and hope for the best. So if you want to manage, you got to be nimble, you got to be flexible, and to do that, I'm asking the commissioner to come forward with quarterly reports on not just the revenue side, but the spend side, so that if there are oversights, if there are things that we missed, or there are opportunities, we can take advantage of those.
A lot of money for corrections as well, women's prison. Education, flat funding for the university system. That might surprise some people, but you kind of balance that with a scholarship fund. How did that come about?
So when we talk about post-secondary education, whether it's a community college or the university system or the ability to go get a private certification in a specific area of expertise, we need to stop looking at it in terms of the institutions, what you get and what you get and what you get. Let's start looking at it in terms of the outcomes. What are we going to do for the workforce? And everyone might have a different path. That's 21st century education and workforce development. So we're providing a scholarship fund to hit not just 10 or 20 or 100 students, but a minimum of 1,000 students with real money, and they can decide how to use it. Maybe it's the community college
or academic based.
Primarily focused on need-based, because again, those are the kids and the students that we want to make sure we're directing into our workforce for solutions for us, as opposed to driving them out of state.
Yeah, obviously, when you came into this thing, and I don't even know if you can put it in simple terms like this, what were the priorities? Like when you looked at number 1A, these are the things we got to do.
Sure. Children, substance abuse. What we're doing at corrections is actually kind of a big deal. Workforce initiatives, dealing with that post-secondary world without just saying it's about the university system or about the community college, but making sure we're looking at it in a more global facet. Healthcare. We pay our nurses and our clinicians in this state so low. Those days are over. This is a capitalistic market, and the fact of the matter is, a lot of people will leave the state or leave that profession to go elsewhere. We need to retain those workers here, so we need to focus on making sure we're paying them fair wages, appropriate wages, so we can retain them to take care of our healthcare needs.
Yeah, the drug czar. Thank you for calling him the drug czar, because I couldn't remember the other title. James Ver. Yeah, you're creating a position, basically a recovery specialist to assist him. Is that still is that enough? I mean, when it comes to state response?
Unfortunately, when we're dealing with the substance abuse crisis, nothing is ever enough, right? We have to constantly keep pushing ourselves to do more. So we did things like fund Granite Hammer. We have $6 million coming in on the federal side. We're doubling the alcohol fund, which is great. Some folks want.
What does that mean?
So right now we take about 1.7% of the revenues that come out of the liquor Liquor Commission, and we allocate it to a fund where we can look at substance abuse issues, or alcohol abuse, whatever it is, heroin and opioids. We still have money sitting in that fund, like $2 million that is unspent, which frankly is a problem in itself. I mean, once I realized that, I said, we got to get that money out. Now, in the meantime, we're going to double it. We're going to put more money in there because frankly, it's flexible dollars. It can go to building beds or fixing up facilities or hiring more staff, a variety of different things. So let's double that and get to work.
It seems like there's been an application of dollars within your proposal to a lot of areas of need in the state, whether it's mental health, $57 million for augment services for developmentally disabled. Some might be asking, all right, well, where's this money coming from? Who's sacrificing?
So when you look at the revenue projections that the House, the Senate, some independent third parties have put forward, we're not at the upper end of the scale, but we're kind of average, right? We tried to play this fairly conservatively. So over the next couple of years, we're looking at about 2.5% in revenue increases that we could see come into the state. There are departments that are kind of flat funded. They're doing fine, and we don't need to kind of boost them up. We need to make sure that any potential dollars there are really being refocused. It's all about just refocusing the dollars. There's no new taxes in this budget. There's no fee increases, nothing like that. It's just about reallocating and managing where the dollars go. And we took a hard look and had to make some hard decisions. But again, it comes back to your first question. What are our needs? Division of children, youth, and families, right? Some of these kids that are going through some really tough times in their homes. Our caseload is way too high for our social workers. We got to get them both the pay and increases they need to deal with those types of issues.
And staffing specifically.
Staffing, absolutely, absolutely. Look, it's not about building an overbloated budget. It's just about making sure that we focus on where we need to focus. So the budget over the next 2 years goes up 2%, and spending the year after that goes up 1%. It's as fiscally conservative of a budget as the state has probably ever seen, but I'm so proud to say that we're still able to address the real needs, opportunities, and priorities of the state.
Well, I got to let you respond to the Democratic response to your budget that indicated that this is simply an extension of Governor Hassan's budget, and you're taking advantage of the surplus that was left behind.
Oh, goodness. Did Governor Hassan ever propose full-day kindergarten? Did Governor Hassan propose a $5 million scholarship fund that anybody in the state can really access to help 1,000 kids? I mean, we can go down the list of the things that were not proposed that we're doing for the first time. For the first time ever, we're putting $250,000 into a program to help internet predators, basically, for our children. Never even been proposed before, but we're going to do it, and we're going to get it done because we're focusing on priorities. We've done the hard work to understand the details of the budget, so that, again, we understand where we can be flexible and where we can focus.
Yeah, how that crimes unit has been doing it so far.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive. A lot of people are asking, well, Democrats are asking, where's the talk of Medicaid expansion? This isn't part of the budget. Yeah. Why didn't he bring it up?
Well, Medicaid expansion is not part of our state budget. It's something that comes up next year. There are no tax dollars that go into it, so it's just not part of the conversation. It's something that won't even come up this year. I think it comes up next spring is when we look to renew it. So it's just not part of the discussion. Never has been.
I mean, where's that headed? Because a lot of people wonder.
I don't know. I think Medicaid expansion has worked really well for a lot of folks in the state. I think what we have to do is see what comes out of Washington. Obviously, right. Washington, D.C.